Welcome to Stories Junction. Let's begin today's story. My name is Jacob. When two people vow to share a life together, especially in something as sacred as marriage, you expect nothing could tear them apart. But sometimes, a single misstep can fracture the trust that holds everything together. Once that trust crumbles, the whole foundation starts to collapse. What happened around my fiancé's bachelorette weekend and the fallout that followed taught me that the people we love most can wound us the deepest, not out of malice, but because of choices made without considering their impact on the one they claim to cherish. This is the story of how one weekend broke the future I thought was certain, leaving me to pick up the pieces. I met Emily years ago at a volunteer event my company was hosting in Portland. I wasn't looking for anyone. I was just there to help out. But Emily stood out. Maybe it was the way she effortlessly took charge, organizing supplies with this quiet confidence. We ended up working side by side that day, and by the end, we were chatting like old friends. We swapped numbers, promising to keep in touch, and we did. It started with casual texts, a quick joke here, a check-in there. Over weeks, those messages turned into daily conversations, then late-night phone calls. Through those talks, I saw who Emily really was, vibrant and adventurous, but also steady, with a deep loyalty to her family and her work. That balance drew me in. She was thrilling yet reliable. After about 5 months, I decided to take a chance. We'd been planning a kayaking trip for weeks, and out on the water, just the two of us gliding across the lake, I asked if she wanted to be more than friends. Her grin lit up the moment as she said yes. That was the beginning of something I thought would last forever. Over the next 2 years, Emily and I became inseparable. She was my partner in every sense, my confidant, my adventure buddy. We shared everything, from our fears to our dreams, with no secrets between us. I never doubted her. Our relationship wasn't flawless. We had our spats like any couple. But we had that rare connection people mean when they talk about finding the one. After 2 years, I was ready to build a life with her. We'd already woven our lives together in small, meaningful ways. Late-night talks about tough days, cooking dinners together, planning our future. So when I decided to propose, it wasn't just about a ring. It was about creating a family with someone I trusted completely. We talked about kids, agreeing we wanted them young, so we could grow with them, stay active in their lives, maybe even retire early. I started saving for a house, picking up extra shifts to ensure we'd be ready. The proposal happened at her parents' place in Seattle, over a family dinner. After dessert with her mom, dad, and brother watching, I got down on one knee. Her eyes welled up before she could even say yes. For that moment, it was just us, even with her family cheering. Her brother posted a photo of the ring on social media with a caption like, "Wedding bells incoming." By morning, our phones were buzzing with congratulations, making it all feel like a dream. We didn't rush the wedding. We gave ourselves 6 months to plan, wanting every detail to reflect us. Emily started spending most nights at my place in Portland, practically living there. We spent hours dreaming up the perfect day, making every choice together, already practicing what it meant to be a team. But then, a few months before the wedding, Emily brought up her bachelorette party. "I'm thinking Vegas with the girls," she said casually. My stomach tightened, but I kept my cool. "Who's the girls?" I asked. She listed her usual crew, including a few friends I'd never vibed with, partiers with no boundaries, always dragging her into reckless plans. They treated relationships like fleeting trends, and I told her before they didn't align with the life we were building. Trying to stay calm, I said, "I'm not thrilled about those friends for an out-of-town trip." I wasn't trying to control her. I just wanted to protect what we had. She pushed back, saying, "They've been my friends forever, Jacob. I can't just ditch them because I'm getting married. It's one weekend. I can handle myself." I wanted to argue, to tell her it felt risky, but I didn't. Part of me trusted she'd rethink it, that she'd see why it worried me. So I let it go, hoping she'd come around. But a week before the trip, I overheard her on a video call, planning every detail, clubs, brunches, a pool party. She was all in. Later that night, she bubbled with excitement, listing their itinerary: spa days, fancy dinners, a rooftop bar. I stayed quiet, and she noticed. "Babe," she said, locking eyes with me. "I'm not like them. I know my limits. You don't have to worry." I wanted to believe her, but a knot in my gut wouldn't loosen. "What if they push you into something you're not okay with?" I asked. She didn't hesitate. "It's my party. I'm in charge. I want a night to remember, not regret." Her confidence was convincing, and because I loved her, because we were weeks from vowing forever, I chose to trust her. I pushed down my unease, told myself to give her the benefit of the doubt, and let her go. But as she packed for Vegas, that knot in my gut tightened, whispering that something wasn't right. Little did I know, that weekend would unravel everything we'd built, leaving me questioning not just her, but the future I thought we shared. When Emily left for Vegas, she called me from the Airbnb they'd rented. She was all smiles, giving me a virtual tour of the place, pointing out the neon-lit view and the pool in the backyard. She told me who was there already and who was still flying in. We talked for maybe 15 minutes, laughing about her friend who'd already spilled wine on the couch. She looked so happy, so alive, that I couldn't help but feel a little lighter. "Have fun," I told her, and she blew me a kiss before hanging up. As the night went on, her texts slowed to a trickle. I didn't push. It was her weekend, her moment. I figured she was caught up in the fun, and I didn't want to be that guy checking in every hour. Meanwhile, I had my own bachelor party in Portland. Nothing wild, just me and my closest friends at a local brewery. We played darts, swapped stories, and drank too many IPAs. The highlight was a stupid bet over who could handle the hottest wings on the menu. I lost spectacularly, and we laughed until my sides hurt. It was simple, grounded, the kind of night that felt like us. No clubs, no strippers, just good company celebrating the next chapter. I texted Emily a blurry photo of my buddy mid-laugh, captioned, "Wings are winning." She sent back a heart emoji and a quick, "Miss you." That was enough for me. I went to bed that night thinking everything was fine. Emily and her crew stayed in Vegas through the weekend, flying back Tuesday morning. When I picked her up from the airport, she looked exhausted but glowing, like she'd squeezed every drop of fun out of the trip. I hugged her tight, happy to have her back. Over coffee at our favorite spot, I asked how it went. "Amazing," she said, her eyes lighting up. "Just a girl's trip? Dancing, eating, laughing." I nodded, but that knot in my gut stirred again. I didn't want to pry, but I needed a little reassurance. "Any of your friends try to pull anything crazy?" I asked, keeping my tone light. She rolled her eyes, that familiar look she gave when she thought I was being overprotective. "Jake, anytime someone suggested something dumb, I shut it down. I let them do their thing, but I kept it chill. Nothing you'd worry about, I swear." Her words were exactly what I wanted to hear. She sounded so sure, so steady, that I pushed the unease away. As far as I was concerned, she'd gone, had her fun, and came back the same woman I was set to marry. The wedding was 3 weeks out, and we dove back into planning, finalizing the caterer, picking music, arguing over whether to have a photo booth. Life felt normal again, like Vegas was just a blip of fun before the real stuff began. I let myself believe we were solid, that nothing could shake us. Then, 1 week before the wedding, everything changed. It was a Thursday evening, and I'd just gotten home from a brutal day at work. I kicked off my shoes, sank into the couch, and was about to zone out when my phone buzzed. I thought it was another vendor confirmation, but it was a text from an unknown number. No name, no context, just a video file. My thumb hovered over it for a second before I hit play. The footage was grainy, like it was shot in a rush, but it was clear enough to rip the air from my lungs. There, in the middle of a packed club, was Emily, my Emily, dancing way too close with some guy I didn't know. Her dress, her hair, the way she moved, it was unmistakable. A few seconds later, they slipped out of the frame together, disappearing into the crowd. Her friends were in the background, cheering like it was no big deal. My hands shook as I replayed it, hoping I'd miss something, that it wasn't her. But each loop made it clearer. I texted the number back, my fingers fumbling. "Who is this? Where'd you get this?" No response. I called, and it rang once before going dead. I tried again, nothing, just silence. My chest felt like it was caving in, but I couldn't let myself spiral. Not yet. I needed to know if this was real. If it was fake, some edited prank, or AI trick, I'd ruin everything by accusing her. So I took a breath and called my friend Ryan, a tech guy who'd helped me with random stuff before. I sent him the video, explained what was at stake, and asked if he could get it checked. He said his buddy, a video forensics guy, could look at it by morning. That wait was torture. I barely slept, my mind running every scenario. Maybe it was a misunderstanding. Maybe it wasn't her. Maybe it was nothing. The next morning, Ryan called while I was at work. I stepped outside, heart pounding. "It's real," he said. "No sugarcoating. No edits. No manipulation." My guy's sure. I thanked him, my voice flat, and hung up. The world felt like it was tilting. I spent the rest of the day in a fog, replaying every moment of our relationship, every promise, every time she said she'd never hurt me. By the time I got home, I was a storm held together by a thread. Emily was in the living room, scrolling through her phone, oblivious. I didn't sit down, didn't take off my jacket. I just looked at her and said, "Tell me exactly what happened in Vegas." Step by step. She froze, her eyes narrowing like she sensed a trap. "Why?" she asked, her voice cautious. "Just tell me," I said, keeping it even. She shrugged, listing off the same story. Dinner, drinks, dancing, sightseeing. "Just the girls," she said when I asked if any guys were around. I pressed harder. "You sure you weren't dancing with anyone else? No guys at the club?" She shook her head, almost annoyed. "No, Jacob. It was just us." That's when I couldn't hold it anymore. I pulled up the video, mirrored it to the TV, and hit play. Her face went pale as it started. When it ended, her mouth was open, but the first thing she said wasn't "I'm sorry." It was, "Where did you get that?" The room felt like it was shrinking. "That's what you're worried about?" I asked, my voice low but sharp. "Who's the guy, Emily?" She looked away, her voice breaking. "I don't remember doing that," she said, tears welling up. "I don't remember." Something in me snapped, not loud, not angry, just cold. "You don't remember," I repeated, each word heavy. She reached for me, sobbing, saying it was a mistake, that she didn't mean to lie, that nothing else happened. But I couldn't hear it. The betrayal wasn't just the video. It was the weeks of silence, the lies she let me believe. I turned away, walked to the bedroom, and shut the door. She kept talking through it, begging, but I couldn't respond. Not yet. What came next would decide everything, and I wasn't ready to face it. I stood in the bedroom, the door closed, Emily's muffled sobs seeping through. My mind was a war zone, anger, hurt, and disbelief crashing into each other. I wanted to believe her tears, her claim that it was a fleeting mistake, but the image of her with that guy looped in my head like a bad dream I couldn't shake. I needed space, air, anything to stop the suffocating weight in my chest. I grabbed my keys, threw on a jacket, and walked out. She called after me, "Jacob, please, let's talk." But I didn't turn back. I couldn't. Not when every word felt like it might break me. I drove to the same brewery where my bachelor party had been, texting Ryan to meet me. He was there in 20 minutes, sliding into the booth across from me with a look that said he already knew this was bad. I told him everything. The video, her reaction, the way she swore it was nothing but couldn't explain it. Ryan listened, his face steady, letting me spill it all without interruption. When I was done, he leaned back and said, "Man, you don't deserve to start a marriage like this, picking up pieces of someone else's mess." His words hit hard because they were true. I'd spent years building something solid with Emily, and in one night, she'd cracked it. We ordered a round of whiskeys, then another. By the time I left, my head was swimming, not just from the drinks, but from the realization that I wasn't sure I could walk down the aisle in a week. I don't remember much of the drive home. The city lights blurred, and somehow, I made it to my apartment. The place was dark, silent except for the faint hum of the fridge. If Emily said anything when I stumbled in, I didn't hear it. I collapsed onto the bed, still in my clothes, shoes and all, and passed out. The next morning, my head throbbed, my mouth felt like sandpaper, and the weight of last night settled in like a stone. Emily was already up, sitting on the couch when I walked into the living room. She looked at me, eyes red, and said, "Can we talk?" I tied my shoes, avoiding her gaze. Now you want to talk? I said, my voice low but sharp. You had weeks, Emily. Weeks to tell me the truth. She started crying again, but I didn't have the energy to comfort her. Don't be here when I get back, I said, grabbing my keys and heading for the door. Her sobs followed me out, but I kept moving. At work, I was a ghost, going through emails, nodding in meetings, but my mind was stuck on her, on that video, on what came next. Around noon, my phone buzzed. It was Emily's maid of honor, Claire, who'd been in Vegas. I didn't pick up. A minute later, a text. You and Em are rock solid. She messed up, Jacob. She's torn apart over this. Don't throw it all away. I stared at the message, my thumb hovering over the reply button, but I couldn't type. What was I supposed to say? That I could just forget it? That I could walk into a marriage, wondering what else she'd hidden? Later that afternoon, Emily texted too. It was one stupid night, she wrote. The worst mistake I've ever made. I'll do anything to fix this. Please don't give up on us. I read it over and over, but I didn't respond. Her words felt like they were trying to patch a hole too big to fix. It wasn't just the dancing or the guy. It was the lies she'd lived with, the weeks she'd looked me in the eye and said nothing. That betrayal cut deeper than the act itself. It changed something in me, made me question every moment we'd shared. I couldn't unsee that video, couldn't unfeel the trust slipping away. When I got home that evening, the apartment was empty. Emily had done what I asked, packed a bag and left. The silence should have been a relief, but it felt like a funeral. Her coffee mug was still on the counter, her sweater draped over the couch. Little pieces of her everywhere, mocking the life we'd built. I sat on the couch, staring at my phone, trying to figure out what to do next. Part of me wanted to call her, to hear her out, to find some way to salvage this. But another part, the louder one, knew that trust, once broken like this, doesn't just stitch back together. Around 10 p.m., my phone buzzed again. This time it was Emily's dad. Can we meet tomorrow? He asked. Just to talk. I respected her parents. They'd always treated me like family, so I agreed. But as I set the phone down, I felt the weight of what was coming. This wasn't just about me and Emily anymore. It was about families, expectations, a future we'd all been planning. And yet, all I could think about was that video, her silence, and the stranger I was starting to see in the woman I loved. Whatever happened next, I knew one thing. The life I'd imagined was slipping through my fingers, and I wasn't sure I could catch it. The next day, I met Emily's parents at a quiet coffee shop near their house in Seattle. The drive there felt like a march to a reckoning, my hands gripping the wheel tighter than necessary. Her mom and dad were already at a corner table when I walked in, their faces heavy with the kind of worry only parents carry when their child's world is falling apart. They stood to hug me, and for a second, it felt like the old days, warm, familiar, like I was already their son. But as we sat down, the air shifted. This wasn't a family catch-up. It was a plea to save something unraveling. Her mom spoke first, her voice soft but steady. Jacob, we love you like you're ours. What Emily did was wrong, but don't let one mistake erase everything you two have. Her dad nodded, his hands folded tightly on the table. She's torn up, son. She knows she messed up. We're not saying it's okay, but we're asking you to think about what you're throwing away. Their words were kind, heartfelt, but they landed like stones. I wanted to believe them, to think one night didn't define us, but it wasn't just the night. It was the weeks of silence, the lies she'd let fester. I took a breath, trying to keep my voice even. I love you both, and I'm grateful for how you've welcomed me. But this isn't just a mistake. It's a choice she made, and then she chose to hide it. I can't build a marriage wondering what else she's not telling me. That's not love, it's a cage. Her dad's eyes dropped to the table, and her mom's lips trembled, but they didn't argue. Her dad reached out, resting a hand on my shoulder. We respect you, Jacob. We don't agree, but we respect you. We sat in silence for a moment, the weight of their heartbreak and mine filling the space. When I left, I felt no lighter, only more certain that I couldn't go back. Back in Portland, the days blurred. The wedding was supposed to be in 5 days, but the apartment felt like a museum of what could have been. Emily's half-empty closet, the wedding planner's notebook still open on the counter, a list of songs we'd picked for the reception. I hadn't texted her back since her last message, and she hadn't reached out again. Part of me wondered if she was waiting for me to make the first move to say we could fix this. But every time I thought about it, that video flashed in my mind, followed by her voice saying, "I don't remember." How do you rebuild on that? I started avoiding our mutual friends, dreading their questions or their attempts to play peacemaker. But one evening, Claire, her maid of honor, showed up at my door unannounced. She looked nervous, clutching her purse like a shield. "Can I come in?" she asked. I let her in, more out of courtesy than want. She didn't waste time. "Jacob, I was there in Vegas. It wasn't what you think. Emily was drunk, yeah, but it was just dancing. Nothing else happened." She shut it down after that moment, I swear. I looked at her, searching for a lie, but her eyes were steady. "Then why didn't she tell me?" I asked. Claire sighed. She was scared. She thought you'd leave her. She thought she could bury it and move on. Her words made sense, but they didn't soothe the ache. "She buried it for weeks, Claire." She looked me in the eye every day and said nothing. "That's not love." Claire's shoulders slumped, but she didn't push back. "She's a mess without you," she said quietly. "She knows she broke something." I nodded, but I didn't have anything else to say. After she left, I sat on the couch, staring at the engagement photo on the shelf. Us laughing by the lake, so sure of forever. I wanted to feel angry, to hate her, but all I felt was grief. That night, I finally typed out a message to Emily. My fingers shook as I wrote. "I've thought about this every second since that video. I can't marry someone I'll doubt every day. I know you're sorry, but I can't live wondering what else you might hide. I need to protect myself, even if it means letting go of everything we planned. I wish you healing, but we're done." I hit send before I could second-guess it. After sending that text to Emily, I set my phone down and let the silence of the apartment swallow me. It was done. The wedding, the future we'd mapped out, the life I'd been so sure of, all of it was gone. I expected relief, maybe even a sense of freedom, but instead, it felt like I'd buried something alive. The apartment was too quiet, every corner holding ghosts of her, her favorite mug in the sink, the half-read book she'd left on the nightstand. I thought about calling Ryan or driving to the brewery, but I didn't have the energy. I just sat there, staring at the wall, wondering how we'd gotten here. Emily didn't reply to my message that night or the next day. I didn't know if she was processing, hurting, or just giving up like I had. The silence between us stretched, heavy, and final. By the next evening, I started the grim task of canceling the wedding. I called the venue, the caterer, the florist, each conversation a fresh cut. "Personal reasons," I said when they asked why, my voice hollow. I didn't have the heart to tell our guests yet, so I asked my brother to handle the calls. He didn't ask questions, just said, "I got you, Jake," and took it on. A few days later, I got a text from an unknown number, not the one that sent the video, a different one. It was Emily's sister, Lauren. "Can we meet?" Just me, no pressure. I hesitated but agreed, mostly because I'd always gotten along with Lauren, and I figured she deserved some kind of closure too. We met at a park near my place, sitting on a bench under gray Portland skies. She didn't waste time. "Emily's not okay," she said, her voice steady but sad. "She knows she screwed up, Jacob. She's not eating, barely sleeping. She thinks she's lost the best thing in her life." I nodded, my throat tight. "I'm not okay either," I said, "but I can't live looking over my shoulder, waiting for the next secret." Lauren leaned forward, her eyes searching mine. "I get it. I do. But I was there that night, Jacob. It was a stupid, drunk moment. Some guy came up to their group, and Emily danced with him for like a minute before she walked away. Nothing else happened. Her friends egg her on, but she stopped it. She didn't tell you because she was ashamed, and she thought she could fix it by being better." I wanted to believe her, but the words felt like echoes of Claire's, like a script they'd all agreed on. "Then why lie for weeks?" I asked. "Why let me plan a life with someone who's hiding that?" Lauren didn't have an answer, just looked down at her hands. "I don't know," she said finally. "I just know she loves you." We sat in silence for a while, watching joggers pass by. Before she left, Lauren handed me a letter. She asked me to give you this. "Read it when you're ready." I took it, but I didn't open it. I wasn't sure I'd ever be ready. Back home, I tossed the letter onto the kitchen counter, where it sat for days, unopened, like a bomb I didn't want to touch. I kept busy with work, trying to drown out the noise in my head, but every quiet moment brought it back. The video, her tears, the future we'd lost. I still didn't know who sent that video. Part of me wondered if it was one of her friends, someone with a grudge, or a guilty conscience. But it didn't matter. The damage wasn't the video itself. It was her choice to keep it from me. That's what I couldn't forgive. A week later, I finally opened the letter. Emily's handwriting filled 2 pages, neat but shaky. She wrote about how much she loved me, how she'd replayed that night in Vegas 1,000 times, hating herself for it. It was a moment of weakness, she wrote. I was drunk, caught up in the energy, and I let it go too far. But I stopped it, Jacob. I swear nothing else happened. I didn't tell you because I was terrified of losing you. I thought I could carry it, make it right by being the wife you deserved. I know now that was wrong. I broke your trust, and I'll live with that forever. I don't expect you to forgive me, but I need you to know I never stopped loving you. I read it twice, then set it down. Her words were raw, honest, but they couldn't undo the fracture. Trust isn't just love, it's knowing someone will choose you, even in their weakest moments. Emily hadn't, and worse, she'd chosen to hide it, letting me build a future on a lie. I didn't cry, didn't rage. I just felt empty, like something vital had been carved out of me. In the weeks that followed, I started piecing my life back together. I boxed up her things, left them with her sister. I sold the engagement ring, using the money to pay off wedding debts. Friends checked in, offering beers or advice, but I kept my distance. I needed to figure out who I was without her. The truth is, it didn't end with a fight or a dramatic scene. It just eroded, one night, one lie, one silence too long. We didn't just cancel a wedding. We buried a life we dreamed of, and no amount of regret could bring it back. But as I moved forward, I held on to one thing. My peace, hard-won and fragile, but mine. And I wasn't letting anyone take that from me again.